Welcome to the Warrior's Way Home podcast.
So you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you hop in the car or taxi, Uber maybe, make your way to the airport. You stand in line in security, get patted down by an obese man / woman. You pay $5 or $9 for an orange juice, and you hop on that plane and take off. Fall asleep. You wake up. You've landed. New place, new sights, new smells. You hop out, get through the airport. You take foot out of that airport. You take that big breath, look around you, see the palm trees and the ocean. You think to yourself, where the hoes at? Passport bros. That's right. What everybody thinks, man. That's what everybody, when they hear passport bro, or they even now you just tell somebody that you got your passport or that you're going someplace out of town and you're a dude. Man, they immediately think that you're out here looking for foreign box every place that you go. But that's the only reason that the guys travel, and that's the only thing that they get out of it, and that's simply not true. So that's one thing we had to discuss today, because our boy Edmund here just got back from a trip to Bulgaria.
Yes, sir.
And he didn't come back with no strange box, at least as far as I know.
No. I couldn't afford another seat on the plane, so they have to ship it.
I asked him to do one thing, to bring me back a souvenir, and he can't even do that.
Yeah, man. Well, tariffs. the tariff on box.
Tariffs on box. But seriously though, man, it's good to see you guys again, man. Welcome back to Warrior's Way Home. Today we are talking about how to passport bro, because like I said, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of if you hop on the internet, there's a lot of real bad information out there. If you type in the wrong thing, you're gonna find yourself down a weird rabbit hole.
Yeah, for sure. So like Travis was saying, I just got back from Bulgaria. We went to the USA, or not the USA, but the Bulgarian World Cup for Kudo. And this is one of the shirts that we were rocking, USA Kudo. Kind of done old school. Shout out to one of our teammates that made the shirts for us. But man, it was a great time. We had two people that ended up winning their division. So got first place, one in the men's, one in the women's. We got another guy that got second in his division, and a woman that got third in hers. So it was a lot of back and forth and trying to coach people individually, but also doing what I can for the team, and weight cuts and losing luggage, and people getting lost on planes and having to meet us there the day of weigh-ins and still having to cut weight when they get there. It was a whole
extracurricular activities in restaurant parking lots with
we'll get into that. But meeting other cultures, getting to know new teams, getting to see some people from the Ukraine, especially with the wars that are going on right now. They weren't at the last World Cup that was in Japan because things were starting to kick off between Russia and Ukraine. So neither one of those countries were at the event, but to see the Ukraine come in and actually do really good, they got some first and second and third place within their folks as well. So, to see that resilience between you're actively having a war in your area and still wanting to compete and represent your country in a different light and be able to, come away with some trophies, man. So it was great to see a lot of different countries, come together and uplift their spirits and whatnot. But that traveling piece can be real hard, So when you get your passport, as a guy, because I was able to take my wife, and I use these trips to do little mini family vacays for a day or two if I can, but I'm still very much in sport mode. When you get your passport and you're able to have that experience of traveling, it's a great feeling. But like you were saying, there's been a lot of negative stigmas around men who are traveling. Why are you traveling? Is it just to go out there and meet strange women or have a good time, or go to bars and get in crazy activities, or are you actually going to find something within yourself? You may gain new knowledge, experience new cultures. But what has been your experience with travel and those kind of things? Because you said you've traveled single before, where mostly I'll go in groups.
Yeah, and it's one of those things I don't want to complete dog guys out because I've ended up in some wild situations that I was like, this is not what I came here for, but hey, it's like this where I find myself in this
happy accidents.
It's like, hey, this is cool. Definitely something to put into the book. This wasn't the plan. But yeah, a lot of before we dive too deep into it, the big thing I really want to touch on is, like I said, I think that stigma that's coming up now can actually keep some guys from traveling, and keep some guys from even like wanting to, because if all you hear that, the only reason the guys are getting their passports is to, go find women because either you're not good enough here or you're looking for, quote unquote low grade women or something like that in another country to take advantage of.
Low maintenance.
I think that can kind of prevent a lot of guys from even getting their passport and pursuing going out and traveling. It's like, well, if that's all there is out there. Believe me, guys, that's not all there is out there. And for the longest time, even before Passport Bros, it's like, I grew up around the military. GIs have been all around the world, and a lot of them ended up not just going and, finding some strange, but actually finding wives. It's like, you're there in another country doing a job, but on the other hand, you end up finding, a lot of guys have gone to, Korea or Japan or Germany or Vietnam or all these different places and actually came back with wives. In a lot of cases, Latin America as well, in a big way. A lot of guys go there actually, maybe not looking for a relationship, but find that along the way. So it's not just one of those things where you're just going there just for some strange. But a lot of guys go there and end up in long-term relationships. They've been with their wives for 20, 30, 40 years now, because they had access and got a passport and got access to other countries and other cultures and met new people and all these different things like that. And along the way, met this woman that added to their life.
Right.
So, I don't want it to seem like, I think a lot of guys hear one-sided way. Either it be from like people who are upset that guys are getting their passports and making this assumption that all of us are out here doing these things. Even when we go to places like Brazil or Dominican Republic or Thailand or these different things like that are really popular places. There's more than just dark corners and cheap bars and
brothels
and brothels and massage parlors out there. There's way more. Every place you go, there's a museum. There's different places you can go. Culture. There's cultural events. There's festivals. There's all kinds of things that you can
whatever
do.
Their natural holidays are.
Language exchange programs. All kinds of martial arts tournaments.
Job opportunities.
There's all kinds of different things that you can have these experiences. Going to some of these other places, man, that's more than just, like I said, surrounding, the kitty. So yeah, I just really want to put that out there because all the places, between other places I've gone, women was the last thing on my mind in going to these places in a lot of ways. I always joke with you about going to Brazil and not coming back because I'll find me a big, tall Amazon to, breed superhumans with, but but honestly, man, I go for the one of the most memorable trips I've had so far is going to Brazil for Carnival in 2020, right before COVID and all this broke out. And man, the biggest thing I wanted to do was go see the samba parade at the Samba Dome because I've been seeing it since I was a kid. Biggest party on earth, man, and just the culture and everything like that just was amazing. And yes, were there beautiful women there? Absolutely. But was that my main reason for going, man? Was the experiences of seeing this culture, meeting these different people, and having the interactions, bro? Was just that blew any woman that I saw or met out there out of the water.
Yeah, as it should. The first time I ever got to travel by myself, like without family and all that stuff, was during college. I spent 30 days in Japan with a group, but we were able to stay in people's houses. People who volunteered to have strangers come in and spend a night or two. Cook natural food and get to see their culture and take you to their shops and what is a day in the life kind of situation look like. And it's always a great time. You know what I mean? Meeting other people who are going to school for different things, but the one thing you have in common might be like a martial art or a sport or something like that. And even though there's always a language barrier, the feeling of I'm grateful to meet somebody who is like me from somewhere else. You know what I mean? You know, man or woman, and it's always a good time. And
Yeah.
getting to share stories how you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, and understand that we are all basically the same is probably the best part. You know what I mean? Because we all celebrate, we all um, mourn certain things differently. We all pretty much have to suffer at some point in different ways. But to know that that suffering is universal and that you can still help somebody. Well, one thing that's coming to mind is that, like, while we were gone, the second day of the tournament, a woman had passed out because her son was fighting. She was part of the Canada team, and she had a lot of anxiety around her kid competing. She ends up like having a heart attack, passes
What?
out, hits the concrete. Yes.
Whoa.
So the ambulance gets called, and turns out it was the branch chief's sister. She had to get rushed to the hospital. The whole team leaves, but one guy has his like round is next from their team, so he stays, but he doesn't have anybody to coach him. Two guys from our side, from our team, actually goes and like sits with him, goes over a strategy or whatever, and he ends up getting like first or second. I can't remember which for his particular division because there's a lot going on, but he ended up getting, you know, on one of the podiums, and to get somewhere and like all of a sudden your support is gone and somebody can step in and kind of help out at least where they can, and you're able to succeed in some part because of that. That's like crazy, like especially because you're in a different country and you don't really know these people, but you know you're like close enough, you know what I mean, to be able to help. That's real cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's all about, just helping other people where you can. And I know that's kind of like going off on a tangent, but you know, being able to share certain moments like that is unforgettable, for sure.
Yeah, I'd say probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned in traveling. I mean, I haven't been to a huge number of countries. I've probably been to, let's see, 5 or 6, I'd say. One of the biggest lessons I've learned traveling is just how little we know about stuff here, and just how closed off we are to what's actually going on in the world. I remember I was going to Mexico. This was my first solo trip, like by myself. Was going to Mexico, and I was actually planning on moving there, but that's a whole nother story. And before I went, everybody was just like telling me how dangerous it was going to be. Who first question is like, well, who are you going with? I'm like, myself. They're like, well, how long are you going for? I was like, oh, I'm moving there. They're like, by yourself? They're like, do you know Spanish? I was like, no. I was like, very little. And they're like, it's so dangerous to do that. And I'm like, no. I said, here's the thing. The same rules apply anywhere else as if you're going to some place you don't know here. You know, it's like you pay attention to your surroundings. You don't look real flashy if you don't know where you're going. And you don't know if it's a safe area or not a safe area. So you're not wearing a bunch of jewelry and decked out because that makes you look like a target. You don't want to be you don't want to be a soft target.
Yeah.
You know, try and blend in as much as possible. Pay attention to what's going on. You can sightsee and do all these different things like that, but don't make it look like you don't know where you're going. And my rule was I have a rule of 3. So you stay on main roads, stay on main roads where there are cars and people. You stay where it's lit. So cars, main road, cars, people, and where it's lit. Are my 3 ones. So if you break more than 2 of those, you need to get the fuck somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like, so if
Get
you
around
find yourself
people.
off a main road, but there's still people and cars and it's still lit, okay, you're probably still good. The minute you start seeing less people or less light, you need to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
Period. Because if that 3rd one goes away, you're going to find yourself in a bad situation, most likely.
Yeah.
It's like, so the minute you see those 2 go away, you need to get somewhere else. You need to either turn around, go right back the way you came, whatever it needs to be. But that keeps, that goes for anywhere. That would go if I was walking someplace in Denver, or if I was in Compton, or if I'm in the middle of Mexico somewhere, or wherever. It's like it's the same rules apply.
Yeah.
So, and my sister actually brought it up. She's like, but how do you know if something happens? I said, here's the thing. Here's the universal signal for when shit's going down. People start running. People start running and screaming. They start
Yeah.
screaming and then they start running. If you're somewhere, even if you don't know the language, and you're ah, and you see people running towards you, turn around and run.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like you can find out what went on later. Is that you don't need? I don't need to know Spanish to know run.
What's dope is that because I didn't learn not a lick of Bulgarian while I was out, right? But that's why we have, as long as you have a good connectivity for like your Wi-Fi or your phone, you don't need to learn another language. It's better to do it to show respect. Like that's why I want to learn Spanish. That's why I want to learn Japanese because I travel to those type of locations often enough to where like it'd be handy to know it offhand. But there's
Yeah.
enough Wi-Fi like gas stations and little hotspots around as long as you have like a secure connection where just download a language package for Google Translate and that will get you through. Like there was a couple times where I had to use it. Like I told you, I kind of went out to the country for a little bit. It was like 30 minutes outside of the main city, Burgess, where I was, where we were, and there is no connectivity. It's just fields and mountains. You know what I mean? So um, get the download the download the basic language package from Google Translate. That'll get you through most situations, but you're not going to be able to do like the talk to text kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just be aware of your surroundings. Do some research before you leave. You know, like as you're booking your trip and all that. Like check out what are some popular things to do and what are some maybe more unique things to do. Like where kind of bodies of water you're going to be around. Do's and don'ts as far as like tipping when you get there, because some people like in Japan they don't want you to tip. They will track you down to give your money back. And where in places of Europe, like it's expected to tip at least like 10-15%. So be aware of those things so that you're not being like an insulting dumb American, more or less, And you had said something when we were talking this morning. Like I was sounding like such an American when I was kind of reflecting on the experience,
Yeah.
because I was like, everybody smokes indoors and everybody has like the typical black and white like striped Paris shirt, and I was like, oh, this feels like straight out of a cartoon. But at the same time, that was me looking at it from like my American eyes, and like it's very, even when the kids are around, like it's very normal for somebody to be smoking indoors at a restaurant or a bar or something like that. I was like, some people were hit and miss based off of what you were doing, but you got to understand their government. You think it's bad here, their government can be wildly different. You know what I mean? It's a different experience. So their day to day, it's not like Denver where everybody is smiling. Hey, how are you? And have a good day. And, how you could be walking on a trail and somebody's wanting to talk to you out of nowhere. Where like there, you're lucky if somebody looks at you, if you're used to being there. You know what I mean? Like you get some looks because you're a different color, that kind of thing. But like nobody's overtly like staring at you, a little bit. But just understanding that as much as it would be different for them coming to America, you going to wherever you're trying to go, they're going to look at you a little bit different and kind of observe your behavior because they're not used to you, you're not used to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The biggest advice I can give guys or anybody traveling is just remember that you're a visitor.
Yeah.
You are a visitor. They don't have to bow down or cow down to you or what you want or the ways you do things in America. It doesn't matter how the hell you do things in America. You're a guest. Not even just a visitor, you are a guest in their country. Act as so. Just like if you're visiting somebody's house, you're a guest in their house. If my rules are you take off your shoes at the door, if you want to argue with me about taking your shoes off at the door, then you can stay your ass outside. It's like you are a guest. Act that way. It's this and it can be jarring at times, seeing certain things or being involved in certain things. But it's one of those things. If you just have the mindset of like this, I'm a guest in this place. I'm a guest with these people. No matter who you're talking to, men, women, children, whoever, you have that mindset of I'm a guest, I'm a visitor. I'm here temporarily. They have to live here. So they shouldn't change their life to fit to suit me.
Right.
That will definitely make your time a lot easier because then you won't expect certain things to be the way that you had it at home. If it is that way, you'd be like, hey, I feel more comfortable. But when it's not, you won't feel as jaded about it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's very much Not for me, but for a lot of people, I think it is an American thing to expect people to, anywhere you go, everybody should know English.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think they should know? If anything, you should start learning more of other people's languages because they're coming here. You know what I mean? Like you, especially where we are now, you can't really go anywhere without hearing Spanish. So you might as well learn Spanish. You know, the population is just shifting, whether you like it or not. And
Yeah.
so it would be better for you to adapt to what it's like here at home, because it is fortunate for them to know English or another language or whatever. I was talking to one lady, she knows Russian, English, Spanish, and something else. I forget what it was, but she was like working on a fourth language. And I was like, huh, well, your English is pretty good. And she was like, something kind of clicked, and she was like, oh, I am speaking English. Like you kind of get used to it when you're in an area for a certain amount of time. And the
Mhm.
more you adapt to it, the better people treat you, I would say. They treat you a little better when you know the language, like
Yeah.
outright, because it's like, oh, you actually respect where you're coming to visit, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or just, if you, like you said, if you decide to live, because being, what is it? What is it called? Being, I guess, a globalist or
A global
nomad.
citizen.
Yeah, that's what it is. Being a global citizen is like the wave right now. People are realizing
It
that
is.
the American dream is not what we thought it was. So maybe it is easier to live somewhere else. And what does that look like? And what is involved with that? And then there are whole YouTube channels where people, families are traveling to different countries just to come back and report back to say, hey, if you feel like not being in the States anymore, you can move to Colombia or Costa Rica or Ghana somewhere. And they're figuring out the laws and how to's and what the income looks like for you to make it a little bit easier.
Hmm.
That's a job that they
Yeah.
made for themselves. You know.
Yeah. I think it's. I don't think it's. I don't even necessarily say it's like the American dream is somewhere else now. Some people say that.
Yeah.
I think it's we have way more access to see things now because forever people have been moving to other countries. There's always been
Yeah.
people moving to Japan or always people moving to Europe or South America, all these different things like that. The difference is we get to see how these people live now. A lot of
Hmm.
them who actually move to these places. We actually have
Hmm.
access to people who have picked up their lives and moved to these other places who had, because I mean, at a certain point, you had no idea people had no idea what China was like. As
Yeah.
like until they got there, or what El Salvador was like until you got there. It's like there was
Yeah.
a time where that was, it was you might see it in a book and get some, get a little bit of knowledge, but until you put feet on the ground, you
Hmm.
had no idea what it was like being there.
Yeah.
Some people had no idea what their language was and all these different things like that. So it's like we've always had that. We just have way more access, just like everything else now. We have way more access to it now. So it's a lot more common now than it probably would have been in the past, where it's a lot more common to know somebody who lives in another country than it probably was before. And still, still
Yeah.
talk to them. Be like,
Yeah.
you're not waiting 2 weeks or 4 weeks for a letter coming from them. It's like, no, I talked to him yesterday. He's doing great.
Right. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So, basically like I said, what we're digging into is this passport bro thing, man, the being a global citizen. And like I said, there's definitely some shade thrown on it, but there's so many benefits to, and not, you don't even necessarily need to call yourself a passport bro, but being open to that travel and the things you learn as a man when you do travel. Um, it makes you so much more resourceful when you start traveling on your own, or you're traveling with a different group and traveling to these different places where it's like you get outside of the tourist zones. You're not just staying in the hotel or the resort. You're getting out and meeting with the people and talking to the people. Maybe you don't know the language, but you still, you learn a few words and you try those and you completely screw them up and they work with you on it. You become more resilient. It becomes easier for you. It's not necessarily about moving. It's just about going and seeing these different things. What does the world have to offer to you? Maybe you want to live someplace else. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just go there for a week every 2 years or something like that, go to a different place, and that's good enough for you. But you tap into a new person when you come back. I've never gone someplace and come back the same guy I was when I left. Is I've always come back differently. I had a different mindset of how things operate, how things work, how I want my life to look like, based off of sometimes some of the other cultures that I've seen, or just seeing how we do things compared to other places. and being like, why do we do it that way? Or why have I thought that this is the only way to do it when I see somebody else doing it differently? One thing I tell people when I went to Mexico was, people think of Mexico as this poor, desolate place and everything like that because people are coming over here. Mexico's got money, bro. There are a lot of Mexicans that are more wealthy than a lot of Americans. I went there and, some of the malls they had in Puerto Vallarta, it was, they had Gucci and Dior and all the same things that you see in high class malls where we were, but the malls were like outdoor malls and had escalators and everything was clean. And it was like 9 o'clock at night, and there's people walking around with their family and grandma and the kids, and dad's out here, he's drunk, but he's playing with his daughter while he's drunk. Looks like he's about to fall over, but he's out there with his kid. Right. It's like, I don't know most guys that are out someplace with their kid at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, if they're drinking, they're usually with their buddies or with some chick. Is that they're usually not drinking, a little tipsy and playing with their daughter, walking, going down the boardwalk. That's just not something I saw. So it's like seeing that, okay, these, family is so key to these people that this dude is, like I said, tipsy, probably should be sitting down somewhere, but he's still being a dad, and out here playing with his daughter. Like I said, that was a big thing to see, because I was like, I don't think I would see that in the U.S. It's like, I was like, as a matter of fact, if I saw that in the U.S., I'd probably call the cops. There's something going on. I'd be wondering, like, is that a strange guy chasing the little girl? I wouldn't immediately think like, oh, that's her dad. I'd be like, hello, police. Yeah, there's this drunk man chasing this little girl down the street. I'll be holding him until you get here.
And like you said, like, you shouldn't, when you travel, you shouldn't come back different. And I was actually thinking about that this morning, where
no, you should come back different. You absolutely should come back different.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you shouldn't. Sorry, I don't know how it came out, but I was thinking
you shouldn't come back the same.
Yeah, you shouldn't come back the same. And I was thinking about, like, how did I change from this particular trip? And I was thinking about when it comes to how you support people as a coach or a mentor or some type of support system. You really have to cater your message to each person. You know what I mean? Because multiple people are going to be coming to you when you're on a team like that, especially when you're in some type of leadership position. And the same way, how you get coached is not the same way that I get coached. There can be some overlap, but it needs to be catered to the individual, based off of how they behave, how they process things, what their inspiration is for certain things. And it was very apparent during the trip where, that can shift very quickly. And being able to be agile enough to adapt to it takes some skill. You know what I mean? And there are times where you might be feeling not so great, but you're supposed to be the one that is inspiring others. And it takes a toll, but also having to dig deep for yourself can be a major thing. So as a father, as a husband, as a coach or a leader or whatever, you have to make those adaptations per person. And understanding how, like, while you're doing that, how does somebody support you, and being able to communicate that too is very important, because I feel like people expect you to just be a mind reader and know what to say, and you might end up getting sympathy where you really wanted empathy. So it can be a little tricky sometimes, especially in big groups.
For sure. Yeah. Let's talk about one major thing that some of the guys are probably waiting for us to talk about. Let's talk about the ladies.
Yeah.
While traveling, they're there. I'm sure.
Case closed.
No. What I'd say probably one of the biggest things that guys really need to, like, I think we have this almost idealized image of foreign women and different things like that, which, I'm not gonna say that there's not some righteousness that comes with that, but the biggest thing I tell guys is that a woman is a woman is a woman everywhere. Whether you're in Colorado, you're in California, you're in New York, or you're in Bulgaria. It's like a woman is a woman. The foundation of who women are usually doesn't change. Now, the morals and how they're brought up and the way they do things, yes, those things will be different. It's like, but at the end of the day, there's not a huge difference with how women are from place to place. Like say, you
They
know,
operate, yeah.
based on how they're raised. Yes, they'll treat you different. They talk different. They eat different foods. They do different things. They have different religions. They're brought up differently and believe in different things. Yes, it's like, but women, just like we talk about, or you hear so much on, you know, with the red pill and all these guys talking. It's like hypergamy, you know, is a thing everywhere. You know, women do look for the most advantageous, the thing that's going to give them most advantage, and the relationship that's going to give them the most advantages. Wherever you go, you know, that may be you if you're, you know, coming from the US, that may not be you here, and it may be you when you go to Thailand because of how much you earn. You know, so you don't expect that, you know, when you go someplace that the women you're meeting, that they're just stop that that the women you're meeting are so much different than the women that are back home. Yeah. Okay, it's like if you go to another place, like I go to Thailand or I go to Brazil, I'm at a different status. I'm at a different status because of my income compared to here. You know, so like here, yeah, I might be here, but there, you know, I might be upper middle class. It's like that opens up a different level of dealing with women for me. It's like that doesn't change. That'd be the same thing if I made more money here. Yeah. A lot of guys think it's this different thing. It's like, well, I went to Thailand and, you know, women started, you know, treating me all different. It's like, bro, you pay for everything while you were there. Is that you every date, just like you go on a date here and you pay for things, you go there and you pay for things that you can afford to do way more there than you do here. Right. And you wonder why she's so into you, bro. Huh?
I think you're balling because of the exchange rate.
Yeah, it's like, and you wonder why she's so into me. It's like, I'll be into you too if you were buying me steak dinner every night. Right. It's like, I'm not saying that's the only reason they're into you, but it's definitely a benefit. It's a plus. It is a perk. It is a perk. We're not going to pretend like that's not a thing. And that's what I think a lot of guys, they live in this la la land where they think like, oh, they just want me for me. It's like, no, because if you're an asshole here and you're an asshole there, women are going to treat you the same. They're going to treat you like an asshole. Right. You know, it's like if you're a simp here and you're a simp there, they're going to treat you like a simp. Right. If you treat a woman like a superstar, she's going to treat you like a fan anywhere you go.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's unfortunate. You know, it's that rock and roll mentality. I think it is a little bit for some guys where it's like, yeah, I know I have stereotypical Americans to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Where like they expect you to have money because of the way that you're traveling and where you're going, and they know that that dollar is stronger with them. Yo, what up, so? That dollar goes further. So they expect you to spend a lot of money. So they're going to be as nice as possible in those circumstances. Where like go to a place in Eastern Europe where the money is not so great, and they're getting ready to change over from what is it? There right now it's Lev, and they're getting ready to change over to the euro, where things are basically going to double. So they might be a little nice to you then, but it also depends on what their circumstances are and where you're like actually going. So it's a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Think of it like a job, man. It's like if you're here and let's say, you know, you have a job offering you $25,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you go to Europe and you have that same job that offers you $50,000 a year. You're gonna do what it takes to get that job. And not to say that you're gonna, you know, kiss more ass or these different things like that, but you're gonna play things a certain kind of way to make sure you get that job, to make sure you get that increase. You're gonna be doing the same stuff that you're doing here. But you know, if you're good at the job here, you're gonna be good at the job there. If you're sucky here, you're gonna be sucky there. But you're gonna do what it takes to get to that 50. Yeah, it's the same thing. You know, it's everybody's trying to make a come up in some kind of way, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's, you know, it's like you know, I've thought about, like I said, you know, moving overseas and these different things and seeing guys in these relationships, and a lot of guys be like, oh man, they're tricking. It's like, no, they're just living. It's like, that's just how it is. You know, it's like if a guy wants to take care of a woman and he has the means to do it, and she's taking care of him, there's nothing wrong with that, bro. You know, it's like, now if you're not getting anything for your tricking, that's a whole different thing. You know, they say it ain't tricking if you got it. I don't believe in that. I think it's tricking is tricking. But you know, when it comes to see even
Right.
Bam Bam thought that was funny. See,
Like,
bars,
yeah, daddy.
bars. Yeah, daddy, tricking is tricking.
Right.
What we got here?
So I can't see the name, but it's a way for you to challenge your perspective and grow from the experience. Traveling is a hero's journey for your spirit. So that's true.
Absolutely.
So that hero's journey is key because you are choosing to go to a place that, one, if you're going by yourself, you've never been there before, you have no idea what's going to happen, and there is going to be trials and tribulations, whether it's getting stuck in traffic or losing luggage or losing people along the way, which all of that happened.
Losing money, people be
Losing
losing their
money, getting
passports.
ripped off. You know what I'm saying? I almost lost my passport at one point, actually, because
Walking
I'm
through
running.
favelas.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's so much is going on. And you find out who you are during that time as well, because you are interacting with people are going to have their stereotypes of you the same way you might have stereotypes of them, or unconscious bias. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in those moments where you do have to kind of face some type of adversity, you kind of find out who you are in those moments, especially during the travel piece of it, because like I said, this was a very emotional trip for everybody involved. And you had to really like check yourself at certain points. You know, when somebody's asking you to do something and they got an attitude about it, but you're there to help them.
Yeah.
But it's like, if we were back home, you know what I'm saying? And people kind of getting in each other's faces at certain points too. You all right? Certain people kind of getting about to have some infighting within the team type stuff. And
that's why I like traveling myself.
Yeah. But, pulling it together at the end, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like, people were having beef with each other, but when it came down to it, you need help. Are you actually still going to help that person, or are you going to hold a grudge? Are you going to let your ego get the better of you, or are you going to be the bigger person? Which I know it always sucks. No good deed goes unpunished. But at the same time, are you personally going to let your circumstances control your reactions, or are you going to, show how you can be the better version of yourself and be an example for somebody else?
Facts. Hey, so man, what's the biggest lesson you've learned? What's the thing you gained from traveling? Because man, Soul's a world traveling in Egypt,
Yeah.
South Africa, where Dubai, which is definitely on my list, to go, a bunch of different places like that. I know he's been in the Middle East with the military and stuff like that. I want to know what kind of, like, and that's an open question. What have you guys learned? What's one of the most valuable lessons you guys have learned while you've been traveling? One of the things I'd probably say I've learned while I've been gone, and is wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. You just because if you have problems here, let's say you have you're not making a lot of money, or you're having trouble with relationships, maybe your mental health isn't where you want it to be, and you think that, well, you know what I need to do? I need to move around the world. So I'm gonna move to Australia. I'm gonna move to Tibet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go wherever. You cannot run far enough away for your problems not to find you.
Nope.
If you have trouble with women here, you're eventually gonna have trouble with women wherever you go. If you have trouble keeping your money here, you're gonna just have probably an easier time losing your money somewhere else.
Right.
Especially when you're not speaking the language, you can't tell when you're getting ripped off. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
He's like, preach.
He's milk drunk. Don't listen to him.
Little passport bro there.
Right. Oh, I can't wait till he can travel with me. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, but you can't outrun your problems, man. No matter how far you run around this world, your problems will always find you. No matter what you do. So one thing I learned is you have to, because when I went to Mexico, I'll be real about it. I was running from some issues that was happening here. I just closed down my business and everything like that, and I was running for avoiding a lot of the feelings I had with that, and a lot of the stuff, some of the issues I had going on. I was like, I'll just move, and they won't find me. No, they were right there with me. They took the seat right next to me on the plane. It's like they came with me.
They sat in your lap.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the facts. The same thoughts I had, while I was here, some of the same issues that popped up, everything like that, they will find you. So it's excuse me, it's better to resolve those before you go. Or if you're gonna go, know that you're okay. I'm gonna go, and this is gonna give me the time and the space I need to work on this thing, to work on myself, to work on improving myself in this way, whether it be my fitness or learning a new language and expanding my mind, opening myself up to new cultures or different things like that. But if you go just to run, bro, you're gonna be running forever.
Yeah.
And the minute you stop to catch your breath, it's gonna be on you like a spider monkey.
That's why I always think it's better to deal with your problems before you leave, so you can actually enjoy the trip. And like one of our viewers said, it's going to be a challenge regardless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So try to deal with whatever you're going to deal with while you're still at home, because then it makes the trip a bit more peaceful. If you get that opportunity. But also traveling can be a way to kind of open that up, because I think we kind of talked about it either in the power circle or we talked about it on one of our calls. We talked about it a lot actually, but changing your environment can be a trigger for that. Being when you change your environment, you get the opportunity to just to breathe. To remake I think, yourself. Yeah. Remake yourself. Yeah. And like I was actually talking to my mom about this when I got back. She was watching Eddie while we were gone. She was saying that like the sky always looks different than it does back home. And I was like, yeah, there's more of it. It somehow feels like there's more room to breathe being somewhere different. And so it's like, why would I go back? Why would
you're moving to Bulgaria is what you're telling me.
No.
You know you want to rock those stripes. Come on now.
I don't. But still getting to see what the sky looks like for somebody else. Yeah. Drastically changes that perspective. So I would try to get it done. But what I learned is that do it as much as you can. Travel as much as you can while you can. Yeah. Because
don't wait till you're 65.
Yeah, don't wait till you're trying to retire.
Now I'm going to go see all the things in the world when you can't enjoy it.
Yeah,
is you want to you want to go see all the steps that in Egypt, and you can't climb any of them because your back because your back's bagging. You got that bad sciatica.
Now, some people say when you're building a business, like try to remember what you're doing it for and sacrificing the parties and all that type of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but you need to travel in the meantime so you have some perspective of where else can I go. You know what I'm saying? What are all the different? So he's crawling all over the place. Where are the different viewpoints that I can get now that will help me get to that next point? And that way you don't have to feel like you're waiting to the end to do all the fun stuff, because like my mom is a part of this travel group with a lot of ladies, and that's what they did. They kind of retired and they started doing more traveling and stuff. But I feel like you have to cram that in. You have to go see 5-6 places at the same time, because you feel like you don't have time to go and sit at each one individually. You know what I mean? It's like if you're gonna go to Japan, yeah, see a bunch of prefectures and different islands and stuff, but know that it's gonna be there for a second trip or a third trip. You always have that opportunity to go back. So take as much time as you can now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't even thinking about Bulgaria, but now I can say that I've swam in the Black Sea. You know what I mean? It's just like do the things that you don't think would interest you at first. Because I had somebody go to Switzerland, and they were like, "Why would I want to go to Switzerland? It's cold and it sucks." And now it's one of the favorite places they've ever been. And if somebody didn't suggest it to you, you would have never thought of it, and you would have missed out. Right. So just give yourself that opportunity to picture what it would be like to go to a place that was never even on your list. I've been so caught up on Egypt. Because we didn't get to go the first time, and I'm like, I want to go back to that, but then I would have missed Bulgaria and what that was like if I was just focused on the one location I wanted to go to.
Yeah, man. So basically, what we're saying, guys, is there's more to life and travel than boats and hoes.
Boats and hoes. Now, they will be there when you get there, but just understand there's more or less the same boats and hoes. You know what I mean? Like it's. And the food is amazing. Food is really good. It's more of like a Mediterranean diet, but outside of that, it's a lot of sausage and cheese and bread and stuff like that. But the snacks are all right, just to see what they see, because they're still. Excuse me, sir. There's still. That's sorry. There's like a little bit of a feedback. It's him. there's the chance to introduce yourself to new foods, new, like you said, their museums. What do their cultural dances look like?
And being open to new things.
Being
A lot of
just being
people
open.
are so scared to try something new. We talk about the guys who, are traveling to, meet women. There are some people who are terrified to travel. They're
Yeah.
like, what if there won't be anything I can eat, or I won't, what about the smells, or I won't know the language or the people. It's like, bro,
You hear
go to some
yourself.
places, man, and like I said, stuff you didn't expect to love, you absolutely end up loving
Yeah.
there. One of my favorite things, and I didn't expect to, like, out of all the things that, like, people would expect you to love going to Brazil, one of my favorite things was just walking to the grocery store in the morning. Like, it was probably one of my favorite things, because it was so different than what I'm used to. Because a lot of people think Rio is just the statue and the beach and everything like that. It's like,
Yeah.
but the neighborhood I was in was it had almost kind of a jungle feel to it. So it was like a neighborhood, and you could see everywhere was trees. The whole street was covered with trees and everything like that. And like I said, it's during Carnival, so you're hearing all the excitement and the music and everything going. It's just so lively, and all the people talking and people with their families and everything like that. It was just something so new, something that it just seems so common, something I can do here all the time, and it's not that big a deal. It was just, you do that same thing in a different place, and it just made it just so much different. It's like, it was so much more enjoyable just taking me out of this place. Stuff that I've done a million times, just walking to the grocery store to get some fruit and then walking back. Done it 1,000 times. But put me doing that in a new place, and like I said, the new smells and just hearing the new sounds, like, I've never heard a bird like that in my life. What the fuck was that? It's like, what was, is just seeing all these different things and how lively everything was probably one of my favorite experiences to do in Rio on a daily basis.
That is, it reminds me of when we went jogging in Japan, and it was so mundane.
Plus, I got to see all the booties. I'm not gonna lie, I did get to see another. I'm not gonna front. I'm still a dude.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'm not dead. It's not like I was going there and, like, I was like, oh, I'm a monk in Brazil right now during Carnival with all this scattered tail running around here, and these beautiful, voluptuous women, and I'm not gonna look at any of them. I'm just focused on fruit.
Right.
I'm not gonna say and pretend like it wasn't a thing, like there wasn't plenty to look at while I was out there, because there absolutely was, and I enjoyed. That was a big part of enjoying myself too, was seeing the sights.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I didn't want to make it sound like I was all holier than that. I was like, oh, he's talking about walking to the grocery store like this meditative experience, like he's this monk and all wholesome. It's like, no, I'm not an asshole. I was going to.
Yeah.
It's like, it's full on admit that. You're muted.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, running it. We went for a jog in Japan, and that was pretty cool. You can jog around here. It doesn't feel like too much of nothing, but doing that in a different 2 seconds. Sorry.
It's just something so simple, man. It's something so simple, doing something that you would do every day. I said, going to the grocery store. If you decide to move some other place and you're still working or something like that, just having the experience of going to work, how you get there, experiencing these things, the conversations you have with different people, it really opens your eyes to, like, how much we're alike, but how much things are so different at the same time. It's it's an amazing feeling. Like I said, even just experiencing different types of women, even just having conversations with them. It was, how do I approach this woman with respect in this country? Am I gonna say something that's out of pocket, or it's like, if I do a certain hand gesture, is it gonna be a weird thing? Makes you step your game up, figuring out just how you interact with people. What's respect mean for a different country? Because place, doing this to somebody or something like that, or whistling at somebody, they do that with dogs. They don't do that with people. So it's like, in a lot of Asian cultures, they when they instead of doing this or like this, they do this.
Yeah.
Because other things you're calling dogs, as you snapping at somebody or anything like that. It's very disrespectful. So you have to step your game up. You have to become a lot more clued in when you're moving in different cultures.
Some of my favorite conversations I have are like around their belief systems, with different cultures. Because on this trip, I met an Indian who was a Catholic. And I was like, oh, well, explain that one to me. He couldn't, but because he had saw one of my tattoos, and he was asking kind of what it meant and all that kind of stuff, and give him a brief breakdown, but it wasn't religious, it was spiritual. And I remember when I was in Japan for the first time talking to one of my host people. It was like a father who had a wife and 2 kids and wanted to start to show his kids what other people were like. So he would host, every now and again, one of the college kids. So he had bought me these pictures of different gods, different, like, I think it was Shinto gods. And I was like, oh, I know this one is from such and such mythology. And then he had corrected me. He was like, it's not mythology, it's real. And I was like, right. You know what I'm saying? So like sometimes we forget when we're taught something, we're taught that it's real for them, but it's not real for us. So we treat it like it's not real for us.
Yeah.
So but you still have to have that same respect of, like, if you believe in Jesus and I don't, then I still have to respect that. You know what I'm saying? It's only here that people go around protesting and trying to,
It's only here that you can sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of other countries, they don't play that game at all.
Yeah, for real. Like, you're not finna come in here and convert nothing. You know what I mean? So, and they take great offense to that. So you have to be careful when you're saying something is a belief system or a faith or a myth or whatever, because like they'll take it personally. You know what I mean? So, but it's having those type of conversations is always dope, and going to their temples and doing their type of practices. I remember there was one kid who he was very, very set on not praying or not doing like Shinto or Buddhist prayers. And all they said was, do this 1-2 rituals, nothing crazy. They're not trying to change you. They just like, hey, just experience what this is like for us. Refuse, wouldn't do it, and kind of got to the point where he was starting to be a little bit insulting. So, and it's like, okay, just respect their culture. Yeah, you can respectfully bow out, but don't make it an issue for everybody as well. So
mostly Western people that want to make a scene when they bump up against their beliefs, or something bumps up against their beliefs. We seem to be the only ones that want to take it to that next level, and call the manager like a Karen.
Yeah. I'm calling Jesus right now.
Yeah.
I'm telling
you didn't, Buddha. Don't you dare.
Right.
Don't make me call somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it becomes an issue. But thankfully, most people are not like that, at least the ones that I travel with. It's always just an opportunity to grow closer to somebody too.
Yeah.
And one thing I was going to say is, when it comes to travel, it's really good to make friends while you're away. It's really important, at least for me, in my community. Buddy. Sorry.
No, you're good. So I'm going to talk about making other kinds of friends. I'm going to be talking about some, dating while you're gone. I actually have dated a woman outside of the U.S., and I actually was actively, we'll say, pursuing some women when I was in Puerto Rico. And it's a when you're dating in another culture, it's definitely an interesting thing. You definitely learn a lot when you start dating and getting into relationships, or even just having conversations with foreign women. you learn a lot about their culture, but you also learn a lot about yourself. For me, one of the biggest things I get why guys, like I said, can put foreign women up on a pedestal and everything like that compared to like Western women and different things like that, is because the level of respect that you get on a certain level is way different with foreign women than you get here in the West. A lot of cases, I definitely can attest to that. It's a different type of respect that you get as a man. because it's like, even just some conversations is like, well, what would you do in this situation? It's like, well, whatever you want to do, because you're the man. And it's not one of those things where it's, no money's exchanged hands or anything like that, or any of that stuff going on. It's just one of those things where it's like almost like a it's almost one of those things where it's just on a base level. It's a level of a certain. Yeah, it's almost one of those things where it was like a non it almost she in talking to some of these women and everything like that, where it's like I said, it's, well, what would you do in this situation? Well, whatever you want to do, I'm following your lead, you're the man. It's a different expectation of you as a guy. A lot of guys think that they're going to get a better result going and dealing with these women. There's actually more expectation of you as a man in other countries dealing with foreign women than there is sometimes even here. Here we talk about that, going half and half and everything like that. There are countries out there, man, there is no half and half. You're the dude. It's like a woman's gonna play her role, but you have to play your role. It's expected of you to play your role. Yeah, when we go out, you're gonna pay. You're the dude. We're not going Dutch. It's like just like when we get home, if it's time to cook, I'm gonna cook. I'm not expecting you to cook or to clean or to take care of certain things. It's like because that's my part of the thing. You know. Even it comes down to protection. If something pops off, they're gonna be looking at you to step up and defend because you're the man. A lot of other cultures, it's a requirement of a guy to do certain things that we almost take, especially now, like I said, we take for granted that, it's like, yeah, I could do this, but we could go half and half. But that's not even a conversation in some other cultures. I
Right.
think a lot of guys don't realize that you actually have more requirements and more of an expectation of you as a man in a lot of other cultures, especially dealing with women, than you do even here.
Yeah.
A lot more is a part of you. You can't be some snowflakeish type dude in a lot of other cultures. You got to, if something happens, you got to step up. You back down, or you try and play things off. You're not engaging with that. You're gonna be looked at real negatively in a lot of
Yeah.
places.
Yeah. And God forbid you go to a country where polyamory is the thing, where it's like you said, every person you attach to your situation is gonna expecting you to do basically what the normal women will have to do here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're not. I haven't experienced dating somebody outside of the U.S. personally, but I could definitely see how it would also be a learning curve to acclimate to that culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't want to do it long distance. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm going to be living somewhere else, that's
Yeah, I don't
probably
suggest guys
ideal.
do long distance dating. It's not a
Yeah,
it's not a real thing or something that works. So I could say from experience, don't do it.
yeah,
Uh,
no. So, but I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of benefits to it too. You know, having your kids grow up in a totally different culture would be cool if you have kids or plan to have kids.
Mhm.
I would just say be careful. Don't get yourself into a situation where what is it? It's like people want you only for your stereotype.
Yeah, you mean like a fetish or something along those lines? I think he froze. I think he was talking like kind of being a fetish for somebody. Like maybe if you're African American, being an exotic thing as like Latino, like a Colombian woman would be here or a Brazilian woman would be here. You're kind of that same thing in like an Asian culture, like in Thailand or Japan or something like that. It's like, ooh, chocolate. You kind of be a bit of a fetish. I don't think a lot of guys have problems with that, man. It's like, to be honest, I don't know if I'd have it, because I think there's a difference between being a I wouldn't know what the other word, being a fetish and being a almost like a must for somebody else. Like I think we lost him there. All right, we'll wait for him to pop back on here in a minute. But yeah, I think there's a big difference between being a fetish for somebody where it's like just something somebody's kind of into and likes versus being like this is what it has to be for me to like enjoy myself in the bedroom type deal. Like, hey, you have to have nice feet for me to be able to, type deal. So being everybody's a fetish for somebody. That's just what it is. Just like here, it's like tall men are a fetish for a lot of women. Women with nice butts or nice chests are a fetish for a lot of guys, or short hair or long hair or anything like that. A lot of these are fetishes that people have. So skin color being exotic, just like men like exotic things, women like exotic things too. They like things out of the norm. People tend to want things that somebody else they can say they have something that somebody else doesn't. I don't really see anything wrong with that, but that's how life goes. All right. So, there we go. Oop. There we go.
You hear me?
Yeah, got you back.
All right, sorry about that. Somebody was pulling wires.
Like, Dad, let's stop talking about it. Let's go.
Let's chit chat more chop chop. I'm trying to get I'm sorry.
Let's go. Where's my passport? Let's go.
Right. So what were you saying?
What I was saying was everybody's a fetish for somebody. It's like, so I don't really see anything wrong with being a fetish. Just like guys like women with short hair or long hair or brown, or dark skin or real light skinned, or a nice butt and a nice chest, or anything like that. Just like women here like taller guys or broader guys or bigger guys. Like everybody's got a fetish. It's a different thing if like you can't get off without this thing. That's a whole different thing. But
yeah,
just like a woman from Colombia or Brazil or something like that is kind of fetishized here, is a fetish for here. Black guys are going to be a fetish in Thailand or in Japan or different things like that because we're different. It's exotic. It's something they haven't seen before. It's like if you go to an ice cream shop and they got a new flavor you never heard of. You're like, ooh, that sounds nice.
I just mean like don't base whatever that relationship you're trying to get off of that. Yeah, that's all I was trying to say. Because to have fun, yeah, for sure. But if you plan on having kids,
I'm just I think there's just different things that interest different people.
Yeah.
Is like for me, I love a woman with a fro. I think we were talking one day, and I was like, what I really love, I'm real into now, is women with jeans. Is a woman in jeans or a woman in like a dress or sundress. Because I've especially being a personal trainer, I've seen so many women in yoga pants that I'm so sick of seeing yoga pants. Yeah. I honestly would not. It would not hurt me if I never saw another woman wearing yoga pants ever again in my life. I would not hurt my feelings at all. It's just like so for me, I see a woman in jeans and I'm like, ooh. She might not even be like super attractive, but I'm like, it's like, oh, she wearing jeans. She's wearing jeans.
that picture of like people back in whatever, let's say Pilgrim times. Ooh, you see that ankle?
Yeah.
Mary Lou had her ankle exposed. Like
was that woman wearing a dress? Ooh.
Right.
It's just one of those things. You're kind of into whatever you're into. It's just how that goes. But yeah, man. So to kind of wrap things up, man. We like I said, we talked about the travel, some of the benefits you definitely get as a man. And every guy, and I think you can agree with me on this. Every guy should get his passport.
Yes.
Every man should have his passport. And
I think every man should have some type of dual citizenship.
I think I'd agree with that. Because having options doesn't hurt anybody.
No.
At the end of the day.
No. Especially if you can find a place that that's easy enough to get to. You know what I mean? Maybe somewhere in South America or whatever, like just, you can be good if you get there, and whether it's, learning the language or knowing more about the culture, like, yeah, giving yourself options, 100%.
Or just a lot of, financial and tax benefits that go along with that as well, where, you can definitely get moving to, because beyond passport bureaus, there's also digital nomads and these different things like that. There's people think there's just passport bros. No, man, it's like there's people who are working overseas. There are people who start businesses and create their whole businesses overseas. There are people who do slow travel, who do that, that fast travel. I'm here for a week and then I move. YouTubers who, food bloggers, all these different things like that. So many reasons for people to travel.
Yeah.
Martial artists going and learning, going to Thailand and spending 6 weeks to learn, Muay Thai, and then going someplace else to learn boxing or whatever it may be. There's so many reasons to travel just beyond, like I said, being the quote unquote passport bro out here looking for box.
Yeah, for sure, man. Martial arts is how it got me to travel. You know what I'm saying? Like, first, most of the majority of people that I've known that have gone overseas or have met overseas that were like originally Americans or like expats were people who were going for they would learn another language, and then they would only have the option of going to that place that learned that language because they're teaching. But for a martial artist, you go because you're having competitions or you're training or whatever. You don't have to be a pro fighter to do what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to want it. Like, you qualify for a certain tournament to get there. You know, you have to be good at something, and then you got to be good at something and just be able to travel. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, one of our teammates was saying that if it wasn't for Kudo, he would have never been able to travel to Brazil or Bulgaria. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to win. You just have to compete or travel for it, kind of thing. But there are ways around it. Like, that's why I would love to bring Kudo to Denver and like Aurora and stuff like that, because I feel like a lot of people that look like us, they just feel like they have to, do something with music or football, basketball. Like, those don't really help you travel outside of the country. You know what I'm saying? You can, but I feel like there's other avenues. You know what I mean? We should find out
there's a lot of other ways to do it.
Ways to do it. So, but that's all. Yeah, like, just find something that you like and figure out how you can, make it a passion and be able to travel for it. It's all right.
I mean, arts, like I said, culture, food, like I said, languages, martial arts. There's so many reasons to history. Some people just go to learn the history about a place and go to study that.
Archaeology.
There's
is that still gonna be a job? Is that still gonna be a
archaeology?
Yeah. Just how is AI gonna take that job?
You'd have to get robots to dig up the next pyramid for archaeology to kind of go away. Maybe translating, but as far as like the actual work, like trying to hunt down these places, because AI is good at. AI hasn't reached the point of critical thinking yet.
The robots are gonna be able to
like think actively on its own and make its own decisions based off of certain information. It can get certain, but that's all another thing.
They'll be digging, doing the digging for us, but we'll have to do all the work.
You have to do the thinking, the critical thinking piece of it. So and that's one part of that's one part I would warn guys about with the AI thing now is I just thought of a scenario like a guy meets a woman on, let's say, Hinge or on what's the other one? Bumble or whatever I forgot what the other one was called. I've been on this so long. Anyway, what a dating app or something like that. Meets a woman on a dating app and it's talking to her, and maybe she, it's like, oh, I'm in Colombia or different things like that, and da 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 da, and you're talking to her online, bro. Here's some advice to you before we close out. Make sure you do a video call and multiple video calls to make sure this is actually like not AI. It's not some fat dude sitting in a basement somewhere that you're talking to.
If they don't know how to distinguish between real and AI video, they might still be screwed. So.
As I said, multiple. It's like eventually this thing's gonna mess up. Have some different conversations, not just, hey, how you doing? Like, hey, what you wearing? Why don't you just pop one of those out and shit,
Right.
Dudes, get it actively moving around. Like, hey, why don't you I like your outfit. Why don't you get up and spin around for me real quick so I can check out your outfit? Dude, you gotta do a little bit deeper of some research these days than just like chatting somebody up via text or email or something like that, and basing your whole flight itinerary off of that. I'm gonna fly halfway across the world to this, woman in the Philippines who, really, she's really into me. She, we love each other. And you ever talk to her other than like on the phone? Or you ever like seen her like video call or anything, like her moving around? Like, hey, call me from outside next time. You ever seen any of that kind of stuff? It's like, no, bro, you might be talking to a dude or a robot.
People are getting scammed even before AI. So I mean,
yeah. I'm saying it's gonna be easier. It's gonna be easier now. So, so for the guys who are very women driven, or actually just searching for relationships, man, is like, do your due diligence, bro. Do your research before. One, don't be a passport poppy. It's like sending women money UPS around the world or anything like that. Don't be doing that. And just keep your mind open when you're looking at these things. Like, so there's so much out here to see, and so many ways to see it, that it's like not having your passport, bro, and not seeing this world is definitely a regret you will have at the end of your days.
For sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. So well, I'll do that part. So you can find us on everywhere podcasts. I'm so sorry.
You can find us on the plane, on the train, on the boat, with the. No, I'm sorry.
Right. You can find us on everywhere where podcasts are hosted. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube podcasts, or YouTube podcasts, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Warriors Way Home. We have some big plans that we're planning on rolling out to you guys. I know that I was able to get about 4 or 5 people set up for the interviews from the Kudu event, which also looking out for the Bulgaria footage that will be dropping sporadically, over the next couple of months. You'll be able to see kind of how the training camp went from start to finish, and also, how people actually ended up in the actual event. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's going to be a bit of a part of a much bigger project. It's the jet lag, bro. It's
Warriors Way Home is going global, is what we're saying. We're going global, man. We're going global, bro. We already have been. We're stepping outside the U.S. What other YouTubers are going to be international like that?
Right.
We might be hosting a podcast on top of Tokyo Tower one day. Who knows?
That would be dope. Or from the home dojo in Japan. Depending on what's going on.
Or from the Kumite. Front seat of the Kumite.
Right.
Get that Joe Rogan experience. We'll be hosting. Be like, man, look at that kick to the face. Yeah.
Right. Or if I can, so sometimes we got to go through referee training. If I can, and they'll let me wear a little GoPro, you'll get like ringside view, basically. That might be super biased. Right.
Yeah, we might have to censor some of that on the YouTube there, but
right.
But yeah, guys. So thank you for joining us, man. Hopefully this has been interesting. Like I said, digging into the passport bros, how to passport bro. And like I said, we're not telling you how things should be done. We're just telling you the experiences that we've had, and hopefully opening your mind to some new experience and realizing that there's different ways to go about things. You don't have to keep following the lead of some of these less honorable individuals out here in the world, that you can make your own path, still travel, still have these experiences, still date, still have relationships, still see some of these things, and still see the world, and still maintain a semblance of your honor. Is like even when you find yourself in certain situations where you might have to like hang that up on a hook for a second and go do some things and come back and pick it up. Right. But yeah, man. But we will check you guys next time, man. We'll be dropping a new episode this next Friday, a new podcast episode. So we will not be live. We'll be dropping a pre-recorded episode on that of a podcast, basically talking about the war on masculinity, man. So that's going to be an exciting one. So super hyped by that one. Definitely just tune in for us, guys. Keep your heads up. Go see something new, man. Even if you're just stepping outside your city, stepping outside your block, stepping outside your state, or whether you're traveling the world. Remember one thing: you'd rather be a warrior in a garden
than a garden in a war. See you guys next time. Peace.